Okay, perfect. So once again, good afternoon to everyone. So going back a little bit with epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue is nothing but one of the type of the animal tissue. The other three types are connective, muscular, and nervous tissue. Now we had looked at the structure of the epithelial tissue, that they are at the internal or the external surface of the body cavities or the organs in general, and they are tightly packed because they will allow or they will not allow the transfer of molecules across this epithelial line, and that way they have various function including the permeability of various molecules and so on across the membrane. There were four types of the epithelial tissue that we had seen. That was, I'll go back to the diagram and show you. Simple squamous epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, and then cuboidal epithelium and the columnar epithelium. Again, in these two also, we have stratified layer. With columnar, we have pseudo stratified because it looks like a layer, but it is not actually a layered, like in different layers. So that way it is pseudo stratified. And transitional is not part of the syllabus, so we have skipped it, but it is nothing but three or four different types of cell like columnar and cuboidal and squamous and so on. So that is the transitional, but otherwise these were the type of the cells based on their shape, and they also had a specific location within the body that you can revise from the slides. Okay, so then the next type of the animal tissue is the connective tissue as such. Now, with connective tissue, the most important feature of connective tissue is that the cells, they are loosely spaced. That means there is certain gap within these cells, and this gap that is filled by the intercellular matrix. Remember these two words, that is intercellular and intracellular, they are different. Intracellular means within the cell, intercellular means between the cell. So what we are talking about here is intercellular matrix, that is the matrix which is present between the two neighboring cells. So that is the arrangement of the overall connective tissue, which are loosely spaced, having the intercellular matrix around it. And the most important function of this connective tissue, that they are specialized to connect various body organs. Connect various body organs in the sense that even our body is like a bag of organs. The organs are kept in place, but like after one another, but they are also connected to each other with certain tissue-like material, and that is called as the connective tissue.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, what does it mean by intercellular matrix? Is it just intercellular space?
Yeah, within that intercellular space, there is a matrix. Matrix we are going to see in the next point itself, which is made up of mucopolysaccharide or certain proteins, and one of the component which is known as hyaluronic acid. So that is the matrix. Matrix is nothing but you know the general concept of matrix, right? So the same thing, whatever is filling in between the space, that we call as matrix. So in this specific of connect.
Why is it called matrix? Like, is there?
So is it matrix? Sorry.
Okay, finish your questions.
Okay, so is matrix like some kind of fluid or something that is between cells?
It is fluid, it is compounds, it is biomolecules, everything. That is what is called as matrix. So usually, that's what I said at the start. When these cells, they are loosely spaced. Let's say one cell is here, one cell is here, and there is certain gap in between. But gap is there when we are not counting anything apart from the cell. When we count it as a tissue, this gap is actually filled with a fluid with certain biomolecules. These biomolecules can be like mucopolysaccharide or hyaluronic acid or certain proteins and so on. So that matrix is not actually an empty space or no more a gap, but because these cells are loosely spaced, we call it a gap between the space, which is filled with this matrix-like material. And it is called as matrix because something is placed inside it, right? Something that is, the cells are placed inside this whole tissue-like network. and that is why it is called as matrix. Does that answer both of your questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So usually these connective tissues, they are made up of three main components. That is intercellular matrix, the cells and the fibers. Now with intercellular matrix, it is made up of mucopolysaccharide. Everyone is aware of the polysaccharide probably, right? That is long chains of glucose or fructose like molecules or the sugar like molecules. When they are arranged in long poly, that is the number is not less, but it is quite high. So that is what is polysaccharide, many saccharide molecules or many sugar molecules. When they are attached, that forms a polymer like structure, that is polysaccharide. And when there is mucin, which is another compound, or which is also present in the mucus that you commonly know, that is like something sticky material, right? Not sticky like the snob or something I'm talking about, but the chemical nature of that compound itself is sticky. That is mucin. And when that is mixed with the polysaccharide like molecule, it becomes a polysaccharide network. Now you imagine this polysaccharide along with certain proteins and the most important component, that is hyaluronic acid. Now analogy to hyaluronic acid is like when we build a wall, we put cementing material, right, in between the bricks. Now this hyaluronic acid is the cementing material for the cells. So when the hyaluronic acid is present within the cellular network, it is kind of the cementing material for various cells, which is holding them together. Another function of the hyaluronic acid, the name might sound complicated, but it is very simple in terms of its action. So that is nothing but the cementing material between cells. One more function of hyaluronic acid is, and that is one of the very important and interesting function, that is when the sexual intercourse happen between a male and female, the sperms are released into the vaginal tract. Now those sperms, they will be transferred toward the uterus or towards the fallopian tube, which is one of the reproductive structure, where the ova is also released by the ovary. Now this sperm, on the tip of the sperm, there is an enzyme which is called a hyaluronidase. That means this enzyme will break the hyaluronic acid. Now around the ovum, there are the cells which are attached to each other with hyaluronic acid. And when this sperm is releasing this hyaluronidase, it will break down that hyaluronic acid. Ultimately, the cells around the ovum will be separate and sperm can enter the ova structure. So that is the function of this hyaluronic acid, to build the cellular network by cementing in between the cells. So that is the function of this hyaluronic acid, and that is why it is present with the intercellular matrix.
So,
Yes.
I once like in a YouTube ad for shampoo or something, they said hyaluronic acid or shampoo, or it was face wash or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, this contains hyaluronic acid.
Now you can simply imagine why it would be present there. Like usually hair fall is one of the common problem, right? And if the basal cells, or what we call as hair cells in common language, when these are getting uprooted because of the scalp not being intact, or they are not getting enough nutrition, or the layers are not intact, various reasons. Now, if you add hyaluronic acid, what you are ultimately doing is you are increasing the cementing of these hair cells into the layer of the skin. The moment you are keeping those hair cells intact, the chance of growing hair is higher. So that's why you can logically think of this, why hyaluronic acid is present in shampoo. Yeah. So that way you can always think of every other component which are present in all those preparations.
Actually, so it was some sort of face wash actually. So I think it was for, so the face where people think so that the pores and all.
No, I
I
didn't
guess.
point?
So it was, so I checked and it was some face serum or something.
Ha,
Which has higher.
serum will do a function of nourishment, right? And that will allow, if the cells are more intact, it will not allow the pores to be caused on the facial skin and so on. So there are like various possible mechanisms that way and various possible uses as well of these compounds. Anyone else was, someone else was also saying something. I don't know. Okay, so if there is nothing, then we can move forward. So one of the component of the connective tissue is the intercellular matrix, and we know now what it is composed of. Second component is the cells. Of course, cell, it is a tissue, so the cells has to be there. So these are the cells which are present within the, which are embedded within the intercellular matrix. So you can simply imagine there is let's say a gel-like material which is intercellular matrix, and you are putting some seeds inside it, which are nothing but the cells, and excuse me, no noise. So these cells, they are kind of embedded within the intercellular matrix, and that forms the connective tissue. Now, what are those different types of cell which are present in the connective tissue? That is, one is fibroblast. These are nothing but the fiber-like cells which are little elongated. They are called as fibroblast, present in the connective tissue because they are going to attach with each other. Usually they are elongated at the center and they are tapering on the sides. They are fibroblast. Usually found close to the muscle cells. Then adipocytes. Adipocytes, these are nothing but the fat tissue or the fat storing cells, right? Now commonly known adipose tissues or adipocytes or adipose cells, they are like we all have, not we all have, at least I have some side belly, that is we have some little flat, not flat, little fat molecules present around the belly, and those fat cells, they are specifically called as adipocytes. Then plasma cells, these are nothing but your blood cells, that is, they are commonly called here as plasma cells, that is WBC, RBCs and so on. And the mast cell, that is now these mast cells, they are specifically important in the case of inflammation. Inflammation, I assume you know this terminology. I'm talking about the biological inflammation process. That means, let's say a bacteria or virus enters the body will secrete something as an immune reaction, and then the sequence of event is called as inflammation. So this mast cell is one of such inflammatory cell which releases histamine, and histamine has again various action, like when you have common cold or running nose, you take that drug, what is it, cetirizine, which is antihistamine. That means it will mask the action of histamine. So that way, this mast cell, they are responsible for secreting the histamine into the body, and they are also type of or one type of cell which is present in the connective tissue. So these are the different cells. So we saw intercellular matrix, we saw cells. Now the fibers, which is the third component of the connective tissue. So these are again made up of three different types of fiber, depending on what material is present or what biomolecule has formed that fiber. So if it is collagen, it will make collagen fiber. Collagen is nothing but the type of polysaccharide molecule, and that has a typical structure, and that is collagen forming a fiber. Elastic fiber, again there are various molecules which will form little elastic fiber which have certain tensile strength, so they can what we say, have some elasticity in their nature. So that is elastic fiber. Reticular fiber, oh, I again forgot this. What are these reticular fiber? Last class also I forgot this reticular fiber. Okay, I don't know what reticular fibers are, but I'll check it and I'll get back to you again. So these are the three different types of fiber. Now again, fibers in common English terminology, fiber means a thread-like structure, right? So in case of these connective tissue also, they are these thread-like structures which are present within the intercellular matrix and holding on to the cells and ultimately to different tissue networks. So that is whole of your connective tissue. Then the examples. So there are various examples that we are going to see with respect to connective tissue. First example is your blood. Blood has plasma. Now plasma is considered as a matrix where the cells are suspended in it. That is your WBC, RBCs also. So that way plasma acts as your matrix, which is liquid matrix, and the cells they act as your connective tissue cells. And this is a specific type, what is known as fluid connective tissue. Like usually what we imagine of tissue is a solid mass, but this is an exception which is known as a fluid connective tissue because plasma is fluid or liquid and it is a type of connective tissue. Need not always necessarily connective tissue mean that it has to be solid. So that is when this is the exception, that is fluid connective tissue. So plasma, where the cells, that is WBC, RBCs and platelet, they are suspended in it. That is the one of the example of connective tissue. Any question before we go on to the next examples? Yes, Isha.
So, but then plasma is a fluid and cartilage is a semi-solid, bones are solids. So they are connective tissues are really different from each other. Like some of them, so there are a lot of types, and are there aren't there more subsections?
There are subtypes. which-
So how is plasma related to bones?
no, we never said plasma is related to bones.
But both are connective tissues, right?
Yeah, both are connective tissues.
So there might be some similarity.
In terms that they have a typical structure, like having that intercellular matrix, having cells suspended or embedded in it, that is the similarity. Bones also have a backbone of calcium and phosphorus like compound, and then bone cells are suspended in it in that matrix. But it is just a solid structure, and in case of blood, it is a fluid structure and the matrix is of the plasma and the cells are suspended. So that way the analogy very clear of the cells present in the intercellular matrix.
Oh, okay.
Okay, any other question? Anyone else? Okay, fine. So that is the first example. Now looking at the other example, that is bone. I just explained. So bone is a type of connective tissue or example of connective tissue that forms the framework and support the body. This obviously you know, and is a strong and non-flexible tissue, right? Bone cells, they are embedded in the hard matrix that is composed of calcium and phosphorus compound. And that is what I said earlier. So this intercellular matrix of the bone is having more of calcium and phosphorus compound. And that is what makes it more hard structure. Like in Sahyadri, it is at least very common if you have ever seen buckets and if they are left with water, you see that white layer depositing over the buckets. That is nothing but the calcium. So you can imagine how the calcium matrix would be developing inside the bone. So that is giving a very hard and strong texture to the bones of the body. So that way, like just apart from this hardness or softness of the tissue, but otherwise still the bones are some sort of intercellular matrix which is having high amount of calcium and phosphorus compounds, and then the bone cells, they are embedded within this matrix. Now this does not mean that bone will not have this mucopolysaccharide or hyaluronic acid or any other component. They will have it, but just the proportion would be different in different examples of the bone tissue. In blood, you may not have as such lot of mucopolysaccharide or even the hyaluronic acid. So that way the proportion will vary based on what type of connective tissue it is. but it is always present, and the matrix can be anything. Third example is the ligaments. Now, two bones, they are connected to each other by a connective tissue, that is the ligament. And these tissues, they are usually flexible or elastic in nature. So ligament, you name any joint, they will always have a ligament. For example, this elbow joint of the hand. So there is the forearm bones, which is radius and ulna, and the upper arm bone, that is humerus. Now they are connected at the elbow joint. So this ligament is from the humerus bone, that is from the upper arm bone. It is crossing over the joint and going and attaching to the radius and ulna. That is kind of holding the joint together, right? You all have seen how hinges work, right? Hinges, if you just extend to a little longer portion of the these two bodies which are connecting, that is what is something like ligament. So in this case, these ligaments, they are fiber-like tissues, fiber-like connective tissues, which are crossing across the joint and connecting the two sides of the bones. And that way, the joints are held together. Otherwise, imagine, just the two bones, they are together and they are allowing the movement. Over the time, they can just dislocate from its place. The dislocation does not happen because of the presence of ligament, which is present around these bone joints. Yeah. Another terminology that you might have heard of is the ligament tear.
Yeah.
Right, that's probably most common amongst like young children like you. Like you play and then
Yeah.
ankle twist happens, and then you say, "Oh, I got ligament tear," right? So that is one terminal. What does that mean? That this tissue-like material which is present around the bones or around the joints, that has broken. Now, depending on the intensity, what it is, it will vary. But that ligament tear refers to that there is some breakage in that fiber which is connecting the joint. So that is the ligament, which is again an example of connective tissue. Then there is fourth example, that is tendons. These tendons, they are connected to muscles by another type of connective tissue, which is called as tendons. Sorry, bones are connected to muscles by another type of tissue, which is called as tendons. So for example, again, we have this upper arm bone, humerus, and you have bicep and tricep muscles, right? So these bicep and tricep muscle, they are not immediately around the bones, right? Around the bone, there are tendons, and after the tendon, again, do not imagine in terms of layers. That bone is a round layer, and then around it will be a second layer of tendon, and then there will be third layer of muscles. Not that way, but just in between the bone, at some places, you will have tendon-like fibers or tendon-like connective tissues, which are connecting the muscles, holding the muscles and bone together. That is the function of tendons. Tendons, these are usually fibrous tissue and have great strength and limited flexibility. And that's when, like sometimes when you try to touch your head to your knees, like by bending down, you are not able to, because the pelvic girdle or the pelvic bones or hip bone, commonly known, that has tendons which does not allow you to bend completely. Or for example, again, the groin stretch, when we do a split, that groin also has quite a lot of tendons around the pelvic, and which does not allow to stretch more. So it has limited flexibility, right? And that way it has great strength, but flexibility is very less. So that is another example of connective tissue. And the last example that we are seeing is the cartilage. Now cartilage, like if I have to tell you before I explain this, so nose, the front part of the nose, which is a little hard, but it is very well in shape, right? So that part is cartilage. And if you touch closer to eyes, like somewhere in the middle of the nose, from outside, that is a bony part. And the upper part or the tip of the nose, is not bony, but it is little flexible. But yet it is like kind of hard compared to other types of tissue that you have. Like for example, chick, the like aapke jo gaal hai, right? That is very soft, and nose is relatively hard, though there is no bone. That is because there is cartilage. Or the other example is next to the ear, there is this small outgrowth, right? On the front side of the ear, uh, there is this small outgrowth which is like kind of triangular portion, right? That is nothing but cartilage. Again, there is no bone in that cartilage, but it is just harder, right? So that is nothing but the cartilage. So cartilage is another type of connective tissue which has widely spaced cells and more of these intercellular matrix. And the solid matrix of this tissue is composed of proteins and sugar. And because of these proteins and sugar, it gives that a little hard texture compared to the other type of connective tissue. And this cartilage will smoothen the bone surfaces at the joint, and also is present at the nose. That's what I showed, the tip of the nose, ear, the front portion of the ear, trachea, that is the windpipe that you have, that is like when you are inhaling and exhaling through the mouth, the air enters into the trachea. So that portion is of cartilage. And then larynx. Larynx is again, I hope you know pharynx and larynx. This part, they are present after the oral cavity. That is the larynx. And the important characteristic of these cartilages actually not only of the ear, but in general the cartilages, they can be folded. Folded as in that you can twist like a flip flap. So that way the cartilages, they are hard yet a little flexible. So that is the cartilage as another example of connective tissue. Again, any questions here? Anyone, any question? So I hope you are like very well aware of these examples as well as the description of the connective tissue. Then looking at the overall functions. Now again, we must have gone through this, but just as a quick and a collective function. So they will attach the organs and tissues together. So for example, within the abdominal cavity, you have intestine, you have other organs like for example liver and so on, or kidneys on the back side. So all these organs, they are in its place because of the connective tissue. Otherwise, imagine you are jumping and all the organs are also jumping within your body. That does not happen. They move a bit because of the flexible nature of the tissue, but they don't displace from their place. The reason being because of the connective tissue present around these organs. They store fat in the form of adipose tissue, and I gave you an example of the belly fat that we commonly know has lot of these adipocytes, or even the hip region has lot of adipocyte, or the thighs. So they also have lot of adipocyte tissues. Like it's in like commonly, if I can say that, like if we are a little chubbier, these are the three portions of the body which grows first, like the belly, or the hip, or the thighs, right? And that way, that's where the adipose tissues are present. So they help in repairing tissues. Now, like for example, that ligament tear, right? That is helping that whole of the joint to repair again back to its normal. And it keeps the structure intact. Also, in case of cartilages, because they are present like with less number of cells and more of the intercellular matrix, that way it also helps in the repairing of the tissue. And also the hyaluronic acid example is the example of repairing of the tissue. It's like how hyaluronic acid will act as a cementing material, and then it will repair that particular tissue. It will prevent the organs from mechanical shocks. Again, like I said, if you are jumping, if all the organs are also jumping, then it would have been a very difficult stage for you to survive. Because imagine your heart going to your neck and coming back to the abdomen, and then resting in its position. That way the pumping action of heart will go for a toss. Again, a very funny example, but yes, still. So that way it prevents the body organ from the mechanical shocks, these organs, they also help in the defense. Now, some of the connective tissue, they are known for having a lot of immune cells within them, and that way they help in the defense mechanism of the body. So that is the overall function of the connective tissue. Now again, based on certain function, these connective tissues, they can be classified differently. That is proper connective tissue, vascular connective tissue, and the skeletal tissue. So this proper connective tissue, that is what we call as normal or regular connective tissue, they will provide support and protection to the body. Vascular tissue, they will transport something within the body, and the skeletal tissue, they will support the body and give it a proper shape, like the muscle related skeletal connective tissue. So that way, but this classification is not so important. What we are going to look at, the two different types of connective tissue which is commonly known, that is areolar tissue and the adipose tissue. So areolar tissue, these are found in the skin and the muscles around the blood vessels and also the nerves, and the function is it fills the spaces inside the organ, and it supports the internal organ and also helping the repair of the tissues. Now, because it fills this empty space, otherwise empty space within like next to the organs, and that is why it is called as areolar tissue, right? That is the empty space being filled up by the connective tissue. That is why they are called as areolar tissue, and that is their function also ultimately. Then adipose tissue, I guess we discussed enough about this. These are the fat cells. So around the cells, there is lot of deposition of the fat. I guess I have a diagram here. Yes. So just to show you different examples in picture here. So around the shoulder, what you have is this collagen fiber, which is one type of like the fiber from the connective tissue, and there are this loose connective tissue in the shoulder region, right around your what we say the collarbone and the shoulder joint. So that is the loose connective tissue which is right below the skin, right? Then the adipose tissue, these like you can see the side belly fat is being pointed at here, and that these are the individual cells. Around these cells, there is lot of deposition of the fat molecules within the cells and also around the cells, and that way they will act as a fat storage cells, and that is what is adipose tissue. Blood, we already know that the white blood cells or red blood cell, they are suspended within the plasma. That is the blood, which is fluid connective tissue. Then the fibrous connective tissue, again at the shoulder, like especially the deltoid muscle, the muscle which is covering your shoulder, that muscle has lot of collagen fibers and the cell nucleus which are little tightly arranged, forming a ligament that is the covering the joint. So that way it is the fibrous connective tissue. Then the cartilage. Now in this case, one of the cartilage that is shown is around the bone. Now when you know of a bone, around the bone there is a little layer which is present of the cartilage, like that is a little harder, not harder to bone, but comparatively softer to bone and harder than the normal tissue material. That is the cartilage which is present around the round part of each and every bone at the joint. So that is the cartilage, and also the other examples are nose and the ear part. So that is the cartilage, and the bone itself, that is another type of connective tissue which has lot of cells suspended in the matrix of calcium and phosphorus along with the other molecules, and that is the bone as a connective tissue. Okay, so these are the various examples. Okay, I guess we are not going to muscular tissue today. We will do that in the next class. Do you have any question in the connective tissue? Anyone?